Why Team Architects? Listen, I'm glad you landed here, and I'm going to dive right into it. You're going to hear from my partner, Steve, on a lot of the details of what we offer within Team Architects, but you're really here, let's be honest, you're here because you need to hire and retain quality people in your organization, right? You need to understand, there's no growth, there's no scale in business without quality people in your organization. So what does that mean? Through our various years of experience in identifying, hiring, training, and onboarding people, we've done it long enough to identify that there's certain tricks of the trade, if you will, and certain tools that you can use to really identify the right people. So one of those is what we call our TA12 assessment. That's really the engine that drives everything. That's our superpower, if you will. And Steve's going to get into that and really help you understand why is our assessment tool better than some of the other ones that are out there. But I'll give you a little hint is that our TA12 assessment, the biggest way it differs is that we don't only measure personality, but we also measure cognition specific to job roles, right? So we really get in depth there, and Steve's going to share quite a bit about that. But what good is that if you have a great assessment tool and you identify the right person for the right role at the right time? You also need to retain that person. So we have an entire back end of resources and assets that helps you understand how to onboard, train, manage, and lead that person effectively. So again, Steve's going to get into the nitty gritty. So buckle up, and we're happy to have you here at Team Architects.
Hey guys, let's break down a little bit about why Team Architects is different and how we are the only end-to-end solution in the marketplace that can do what we do. And so first off, let's talk about the assessments. So a lot of you guys have maybe heard of DISC or Colby or predictive index. In fact, I'm going to bring those up really quickly while we talk. The big problem with a lot of those is that they only test 4 personality traits. And so it doesn't give you a deep analytical look into a person. So here's a DISC. Here's my DISC, in fact. DISC, we have 4 different traits that we're testing, and they're ranked on a 100-point system. And there's no way to understand what we're even looking for here. So interpretation is an issue as well. Predictive index is another one. We test A, B, C, D. And so are we looking for a right, arrow, a left, a Z, what are we looking for? What does this mean? And so one of the struggles with all of these is that typically, like I said, they test 4 traits. And it's hard to interpret what that means for your business, for the position you're trying to put that individual into. Here's my Colby scores. If you're an EOS person, you probably heard of Colby. These are interesting, talking about whether or not I'm a high fact finder, I'm a quick start, and I don't follow through well. I think everyone knows that works with me because I'm a visionary. But again, this is cool information, but it's 4 personality traits. It doesn't help me a lot. Lastly, this is a big one that's in the psychology world, I think maybe outside of the business world a little more, but I'm a campaigner. Myers-Briggs says I'm a campaigner, and I'm an ENFP-A, whatever that means. And I'm trying to understand that. But what we set out to do was to create something with Team Architects. And here's our assessment. An example of mine is to do 3 things. Number one is give you a much deeper look into a person, a much more accurate look into their personality and their cognition. So we test up to 8 personality traits, which is, again, gives us a lot more detail to understand who we're talking to. But we had 4 cognition traits in. The cognition traits are how your brain works. And it's how you take your personality traits and actually apply them into the job. So even though someone might be assertive and extroverted and you put them into a sales job, if they don't problem solve well, if they're not creative, if they don't learn quickly, if they don't communicate effectively, like how you use your brain, those personality traits don't matter, because you're going to be frustrated with them because they're going to be over processing everything or under processing everything. So cognition is like the secret sauce that none of the other tests have. So because we've put all it together and we've created this way to have a much deeper look into someone, that allowed us to do another thing that's key. That was to go out and build these avatars where we say, look, here's exactly what we're looking for and why acquisitions is different than dispositions, and how a transaction coordinator, set of personality and cognition traits is different than a executive assistant. And so as we build out the avatars, it allows us to take this much more in-depth score from a candidate and apply it over the avatar and come up with what you see here is this scoring model. So we're able to score somebody, and it's so simplistic to interpret the results, which is an issue with most other assessments, that if it turns green, you want to talk to the person. If it doesn't, you don't. It's that simple. So now, because we're able to say, hey, this is who they are, this is what we want in the job and how they overlay, That gives us the ability to do something here. I want to show you guys that immediately when they hit send, there's a lot of data here in these reports, but immediately when they hit send, this report comes in not only telling you how they showed up as an assessment, but it has this detailed interview guide where it takes their scores and what you're looking for versus where they scored. And it tells you the exact questions to ask them during the interview. And that allows you to have a structured interview. And so the key with that is that when they leave, you haven't just said, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what are your strengths and weaknesses? You've actually asked them questions that have to do with their personality, the job they're applying for, and you have a much better understanding whether or not you want to make a job offer to this candidate. So look, if all we did was help you more accurately go out and pick your candidates, that would be enough. By the way, we save you up to 80% of the time because of the way the scoring mechanism works. You can filter out a lot of people that you don't even spend time interviewing. So if we saved you time and made you more accurate, that's probably good enough. But what we learned is it's not, right? It just because you pick the right person doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a successful team. And so we took it to the next level. And we've added in all the assets you need to actually generate the candidates, the job ad templates, the job description. We've created lists of KPIs and how to manage the 30 and 60 day, 90 reviews. And we've also built out training topics and onboarding checklists. It's the whole gamut of everything you need, from bringing the candidates in, assessing them, picking which one you want to work with, onboarding them correctly, training them correctly, managing and leading them well. Because if you don't do all that, you can bring the right people on, but if you don't train them well or don't manage them well or don't compensate them correctly, you're going to lose them. They're going to quit or they're not going to work out. And so what's cool, here's the icing on the cake for all this. So again, this is why I said we're the only end-to-end solution in the marketplace that has all of this, all the assets and these assessments that are for you, that are already pre-designed for every core position in the real estate investing industry, which is super cool. But on top of that, it's at a price point where it's at a fraction of what it would cost to go out and hire a COO and to bring on an HR team or hire headhunters and have them do this work for you. And so we're super excited to put this together. We know it's game changing for you guys. And look, here's the thing. The only way to scale your business and escape the day-to-day is to scale income, escape the day-to-day grind, is to build the right team. It's not optional. You've got to become great at building teams, and we're here to help.